The journey began on August 24th with Week 0, and now, after a season filled with chaos and controversy and unpredictability, we are down to our final two teams, Ohio State and Notre Dame. One more game in the college football season, the national championship game. I am Johnny Sports Network, here to provide you with my prediction for the national championship game. And what a season this has been. I said from the beginning of the year in week 0 that we are going to be in for a very unique season, as this was the first year of the 12-team playoff, and also a season that was going to be all about conference expansion, conference realignment, and we are down to our last two teams, Ohio State and Notre Dame. Two teams that were on the losing end of two of the biggest upsets of the entire season. And seeing how everything played out this season, losing those games, it was perhaps the best thing that can happen to each of these teams. And for one of them, it is going to be all worth it, as they will hoist the national championship trophy next Monday night. Without further ado, let's get to the national championship game preview and prediction right here on the Johnny Sports Network. Here we go, Ohio State and Notre Dame in the national championship game. As of the moment of this recording, Ohio State is favored by 8 points, 8.5 points. It depends on where you're looking. Ohio State this season, 35.8 points per game. In the college football playoff, 37 points per game. Notre Dame this season, 37 points per game. In the college football playoff, 25 points per game. Ohio State is first in total defense, 251.4 yards per game on average allowed. In the college football playoff, 291 yards per game. Notre Dame is 7th in total defense, giving up an average of only 298.7 yards per game. In the college football playoff, 304.3 yards per game. Ohio State, first in scoring defense, only giving up 12.2 points per game on average. In the college football playoff, 17.33 points per game. Notre Dame, second scoring defense, only giving up an average of 14.3 points per game. In the college football playoff, 18 points per game. And that is taking into account Indiana scoring 2 touchdowns at the end of the game to make that game look close to what it really was. Ohio State is third in run defense, giving up an average of 90.3 yards per game. In the college football playoff, 62.3 rushing yards per game allowed. Notre Dame is 35th in run defense, giving up an average of 134.4 yards per game. But in the college football playoff, they're giving up 109.7 yards per game. Ohio State, they are first in passing defense, allowing an average of 161.1 yards per game and 228.7 yards per game passing allowed in the playoff. Notre Dame third in passing defense, allowing an average of 165.3 passing yards per game in the college football playoff, giving up an average of 194.7 yards per game. Both teams are going to look to assert the running game early in this game. Ohio State, 163 rushing yards per game, which is 59th in the FBS. They're averaging 139.3 rushing yards per game in the college football playoff. Notre Dame, 210 rushing yards per game this season, 12th in the FBS. And in the college football playoff, they are averaging 155 rushing yards per game. Ohio State with Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. Notre Dame with Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. No doubt about it that the running game is going to be a big key in this game, as we have seen not only in this college football playoff, but overall in the season as a whole, these teams look to assert the running game early. The quarterbacks in this matchup, both quarterbacks that were acquired in the transfer portal this past offseason, Will Howard from Kansas State, in the college football playoff, 65 for 88, completing just under 74% of his passes in the college football playoff, 6 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions in the playoff. Riley Leonard from Duke, 53 for 79, completing 66.53% of his passes in the playoff, 514 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions in the college football playoff. Riley Leonard also has 16 rushing touchdowns this season. Ohio State's Jeremiah Smith was held to just 3 receiving yards on 1 reception in the semifinal against Texas. Notre Dame's receivers, they don't get talked about a lot. Jaden Greathouse had 7 catches for 105 yards and a touchdown in the semifinal against Penn State. Anais Williams, 5 catches, 66 yards against Penn State. Tight end Mitchell Evans, 5 catches, 58 yards in the semifinal against Penn State. I am curious to finding out how Marcus Freeman is going to contain Jeremiah Smith in this matchup. As we saw in the semifinal, Jeremiah Smith, he was contained well by the Texas defense, but it left Carnell Tate and Emeka Ibuka, it left them open as they combined for 12 catches in that game. I am going to imagine that almost everyone is going to predict Ohio State to win this game because on paper, they are the better team, but paper does not play the game. The teams do. And with Notre Dame being about an 8.5 point underdog, and they opened up as a 9.5 point underdog, for Notre Dame to score early, I think it's going to go a long way for Notre Dame if they were to score early in this game. Even if it's just a field goal, force Ohio State to have to play from behind a little bit. There is no doubt Ohio State has been the most dominant team of the playoff. Ohio State, they have not trailed at all in this college football playoff. That just shows how dominant they've been. And when I look at the semifinal matchup against Texas, Ohio State, they won 28-14, and the third and final turning point of the game was Jack Sawyer on 4th and goal, a strip sack and a scoop and score. And Texas, they had the chance to tie that game, and a lot of people, they predicted that Ohio State, they were going to win very convincingly, as Texas just hasn't been able to score many points against good to average teams. But looking at that game, Ohio State, they should have won that game by a lot more than 28-14. As there were at least 3 possessions I counted that Ohio State could have scored, but they were undisciplined and penalties did cost them a few drives where they could have easily won by a lot more than just 14 points. But I would not be surprised if Notre Dame did make this a close game. I get that nowadays in college football, the teams are different every single season, pretty much, with the transfer portal and NIL and everything like that. But the 2 times we've seen Ohio State and Notre Dame against each other, when it's Ryan Day against Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame, they've been in the games. The first time, Notre Dame, they were in that game until about 5 minutes left. And then last year, it went all the way down to the final play. Notre Dame, they had 10 men on the field the final 2 plays of the game, and that is part of what cost them in that game. And the biggest storylines from now until championship night: Marcus Freeman coaching against his alma mater, looking to pull off the upset and give Notre Dame their first national championship in so long. While Ohio State, the last couple years, it's after losing to Michigan, the big question surrounding Ohio State: will Ohio State ever win a national championship with Ryan Day? I am going to pick Ohio State to win this game. And I imagine a lot of people are going to say, well, Ohio State, they should win by at least 3 possessions. As Ohio State, on paper, they are the more talented roster. But we have seen Marcus Freeman keep things close with Ohio State in these past 2 seasons. And I would not be surprised if he did it again. But at the end of the night, I do think Ohio State, they will get the victory and their first national championship with Ryan Day. And that will get rid of the question marks of, will Ohio State ever win a national championship with Ryan Day? And that will do it for my national championship game preview and prediction. Comment your prediction down below. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. For those of you that tune in for the NFL content as well, my divisional round predictions will be uploaded tomorrow. For those of you that only tune in during the college football season, thank you for a great season. It meant a lot to see you all in the comment section week after week. And I hope to see you back in the comment section again next year. Enjoy the national championship game. Have a great off season for those of you that only tune in during the college football season. And until next time, Vegas is always watching.